watching SEC Network Basketball presented by Regions Bank. Let's get it started from Lexington. A very determined Texas A&M team coming in the home of the 18th ranked Kentucky Wildcats here at historic Memorial Coliseum. Taking a look at the SEC standings, South Carolina currently locking down the top spot. However, there is a lot of season left and a lot can happen before we go into the SEC tournament. As we say hello and welcome everybody in Tiffany Green alongside the Hall of Famer Carroll and Peck. And you know what? No days off, no nights off in the SEC. There's that unpredictability. However, when you look at Texas A&M and Kentucky, why is tonight's game important for each?
Well, let's start with Kentucky. They've lost 5 of their last 6, but they have Tiani Key back. Remember, she missed the first 6 games of the SEC season, and they're trying to knock on the door of being one of those teams that can host in the NCAA tournament top 16. They're on the outside looking in, so this game would be key. And then for Texas A&M, yeah, they've only won 2 SEC games, but they're coming off a big win against Alabama. The rest of this season looks favorable that they could collect some more wins. So they're trying to get into the conversation of the NCAA.
Well, let's talk about the conversation of these 2 point guards that we'll see tonight, starting with Ny'Sera Pryor for the Aggies.
Ny'Sera Pryor is coming off a 20-point performance against Alabama. She can get downhill. Biggest improvement I've seen is her rim reads when she gets inside the land of the Giants in the SEC, whether to pull it up, dish it, or score it. But she's going to have her hands full. She's going against Toni Morgan. Now, this is a point guard that Kenny Brooks wants to think score first. He wants to keep her in the rhythm of the jump shot. When she keeps the pressure on the defense, she opens up things for everybody else.
2 outstanding players within the conference. Not only they score, but they assist the ball very well. Toni Morgan leading the SEC with 8.5 assists per game. Ny'Sera Pryor, the only player in the country in the top 10 in both steals and assists. On this Thursday night from the Bluegrass State, and it's Big Blue Nation who controls the opening tip. Toni Morgan, as we mentioned in the open, someone key to look at, but also Strack, who has been pacing and most consistent for this Kentucky Wildcat team all season long. Asia Boone gets it going. Well, I'll tell you, she was hot in their last game, knocked down 4 threes in that loss to Texas Monday.
Well, that's a good start. Boone coming into the start lineup instead of Jordan Obi. Really open up the floor. She's a true 2. Obi was kind of forcing that position because of the length of Kentucky.
Well, we saw this in shoot-around. That's Jaunet getting those 3s up off the mark there. Boone back the other way for the Wildcats. Bounce pass to Strack, can't finish at the rim. Well, Kentucky 18-7 overall. We talked about just the shift in the lineup for Kenny Brooks with Asia Boone, who came off the bench, had that hot hand, 16 points to lead all Wildcat scorers. Strack, baseline, halfway down and rims out. Looking up ahead, and Lauren Ware with the traveling violation for the Aggies. They hand it right back over. But when you think about Ware and what she means back on the floor for the Aggies after missing time, having to manage the load with her knees, and she is a player that is crucial to this team.
Yeah, I think that Lauren Ware has, they've managed her not practicing. And you saw the energy she had that Alabama game. 13 points and ran the floor like she's a full-time player.
Ny'Sera Pryor on the floor, and it's going to be Wildcat basketball. They say Pryor was out of bounds. Well, Joni Taylor, who has done a phenomenal job with this team, looking the way that this team is trending in the right direction. Look, we got our whole life when we were at shoot-around earlier today with Coach Taylor, but that's also the same thing that has been fed to her players as Toni Morgan knocks down the 3. 6-0 advantage for the Wildcats. And going back to Coach Joni Taylor and just what she feels of this team is, they're playing some really good basketball, and really go back to the start of the end of that Missouri game, and since that time on, they've continued to build game after game.
And we talked to Fats, Janae, and Lauren Ware after, and you heard them repeat things. Oh, Toni Morgan's on fire, that Joni Taylor had talked about. So when players start repeating coaches, you know that the message has been delivered.
All shots have been threes for the Wildcats. They've got a 9-0 advantage. Meanwhile, it's the Aggies looking to take advantage, knock down number 21 Alabama Sunday, snapping a 6-game losing streak and picked up their first ranked win since they beat Kentucky last year.
Now what's going to be tough for Texas A&M, the length of Kentucky. When you look at Hassett 6'4", Tiani Key 6'4", Clara Strack 6'5", 6'6". That's a lot of length.
Well, Tiani Key back on the floor. First two for the Wildcats, and a timeout taken by the Texas A&M Aggies as the 18th ranked Wildcats off to a blazing start here from historic Memorial Coliseum. Wildcats here after trying to bounce back from Monday's loss to Texas, and it has been an up and down season so far for this Wildcat team. They had a couple of big wins, one against top 5 LSU, and then held to a season low against Alabama with 51 points. And then this is their second ranked win against a top 5 opponent, Oklahoma. 2-point loss to Tennessee, and also within the Volunteer State, they lost to Vanderbilt by 1 point, but it's just been that type of roller coaster. So that's something to keep into perspective too, the number of ranked teams they ran up against and how close those games were. But the difference too in those ball games is the way that Clara Strack has played in those wins and losses.
Well, teams have really focused on trying to take Clara Strack away and to be physical with her, and in some of those games, she was playing without Tiani Key, and she was trying to play her role and also make up for not having Key on the floor. So I guarantee you, the one person that is happy to have Tiani Key back, that is Clara Strack.
Right now, Texas A&M, who is still searching for their first points of the game, coming out of that media timeout, Nye Pryor picks up her dribble. She is guarded by Asia Boone. Janae Kent looking inside to Lauren Ware, guarded by last year's SEC Defensive Player of the Year in Clara Strack. And made that a really difficult shot off the miss. Here's Morgan. We've seen already 4 assists, 4 made buckets for Kentucky. As Morgan, who we came on talking about just how important that she is. And when we talked with Coach Brooks, I think Clara Strack is just trying to stretch out that left leg that she is holding, the lower leg. And Kenny Brooks is obviously concerned looking on from the sideline. His second season here at Kentucky. And what he told us today and what we've seen immediately is his team coming out bringing their own energy, but certainly something to keep our eye on as Strack is getting attention on the sideline as the make from Jordan Obi, who checks in and continues to keep that energy going on the floor.
Yeah, Kenny Brooks said he didn't want to have to be a cheerleader today. He wanted the energy to come from the players and he be allowed to coach. And I think that that energy, Jordan Obi showed that right away coming in. We talked about her being moved out of the starting lineup. Look, she played at Penn, she played the 4. Because of the length with the big lineup, she was forced to play the 2 here at Kentucky. So rotating her in off the bench allows her to come in at her natural position.
Right now, this Kentucky team out to a quick 14-0 start, already in their groove now. The Aggies looking for some offense and opportunities. Lamaya Hilton can't connect. And they're going to say it stays with the Aggies. So A&M start now 0 for 5 from the floor so far.
Kentucky has, well, Kenny Brooks refers to the triplets, but I think it's the quadruplets now with Jordan Obi. So you have Tiani Key, Amelia Hassett, Jordan Obi, who all are interchangeable, especially on the defensive side. They're athletic enough to defend on the perimeter, and they bring length out and keep length inside as well.
Pryor making a tough contested shot over Tiani Key, that length that you're talking about right there, Carolyn. But then the quick hands and the steal from Nye Pryor. Nye Pryor, who collects about 3.5 thefts a game. Nye Pryor, who came over from Sacred Heart, had strong seasons there before coming over to College Station. Averaging 15.5 a game, and their defense, yes, they can rely on, but they need her offense to pick up here. And still scoreless, more than 4.5, or more than 4 minutes gone by. Inside to Fats John A, and just can't finish it off. She had a good look there. The second leading scorer for the Aggies.
Now keep an eye, Lamaya Hilton is face guarding Tony Morgan. That's similar of what they did against Alabama, taking out Jessica Timmons. So see how Kentucky's offense fares without Tony Morgan having to do a whole lot.
Tiani Key, who returned after you mentioned those 6 games missed in SEC play, returned on Feb 1. After nursing an arm injury, she's got a brace on that right elbow. The take in from Fats Jaunet, and that one goes in. The first bucket made for the Aggies.
And she's going to be important, Jaunet is, and if she's got space to work, she's got to be aggressive and attack the rim.
Took her eye off the basketball for 1 second at Asia Boone, and Pryor was quickly there to steal it away, and then the foul by Boone.
But that is a reaction of Tony Morgan being taken off the ball or away from the ball, going to really force Asia Boone to run the point for Kentucky.
Celeste Blow over to Janae Kent. Back to Blow, one of 12 newcomers for the Aggies. 4 to go on the shot clock. They look inside to Ware. Ware working on Key. The fadeaway is short. It grazes the rim, and they're going to say it's a foul against Key as the shot clock expired.
I think they're going to have to take a look at that. Was the foul before the expiration of the shot clock? Can't see the clock in that.
It looked like it happened before the shot clock expired, but they will take a review of that. One of the appeals.
The called foul is under review to see if the illegal contact occurred prior to the shot clock violation.
There's an appeals process, but obviously that was also a review that the officials elected to take in this instance. So they will look it over once again. Here's one more look here, a better angle. You see with 0.6 or 7 seconds
Yeah,
left.
I think the foul, it was called before time expired. Yeah, 0.7.
And so a quick review, and we'll hear from Poolani Spurlock.
After review, the foul is confirmed to have occurred prior to the shot clock violation.
So the call stands on the floor. Spurlock, along with Billy Smith and Royce Blevins, our officiating crew for tonight. And the 6'5" graduate student Lauren Ware out of Bismarck, North Dakota, who is a part of the 3 returners for Joni Taylor's crew, 177 career blocks. But when we talked with her earlier today, I think we were just so impressed with the way that she had a grasp of this team, understanding what the coaches are expecting from this group, and just the confidence that they have coming into tonight's game, facing yet another ranked opponent in conference.
Well, while Johnny Taylor was visiting with us, I'm watching Lauren Ware. She was another coach on the floor, giving instruction, helping the assistants to explain to the players on the floor what needed to be done.
That one rims out for Clara Strack, and it's going to be Kentucky basketball. And she was also altering shots there on the defensive end, and now Kentucky with 20 seconds on the shot clock. Lauren Ware, 6th season of basketball. And just the pull-up and the 17-footer floating in so perfectly for Asia Boone.
Got such a smooth shot. You got to respect her and try to run her off the three-point line, but she didn't have to get all the way to the rim. That mid-range, pretty good too.
Ware thought about it. Sets a screen for Pryor, puts it up, and Pryor lifts it in. Nye Pryor, her first points of the game. And Toni Morgan, who now finds herself as the single season assist leader here at Kentucky, 214 assists and counting for the transfer who came in, and what an impressive season it's been for her. And then what does she do? She just like, okay, let me get a bucket while y'all talking about me.
They still got 4 games to go. So that assist number is going to continue to rise.
Great defense there by the Wildcats. Morgan leading the charge, and Wisely settling into the half court.
Toni Morgan averages 8.4 assists a game.
That patent fadeaway for Clara Strack is true. And Strack is part of the Wooden Award late mid-season top 20 watch list. Helps put Kentucky out to their largest lead of the game, just over 2.5 to go in the first quarter. Ware, tough, rims off. A wide open Asia Boone, can't do that. She doesn't make him pay, but Clara Strack on the O boards, the reverse put in, and she comes up empty on that one. Well, good sign that Strack is back out on the floor. And again, the defense of Strack.
Well, she was the reigning defensive player of the year because she can make plays like that. And I love this Dirk Nowitzki move off one leg. They're gonna have to just call that the Clara Strack move.
The Clara Strack move?
Oh yeah.
The Strack step back.
Oh, I like that.
Mm-hmm. A little something.
Now, one of the things that Joni Taylor talked about her team was competitive stamina. And that's an area where she has seen her team improve since Christmas. Now that they have dug themselves a hole, can they dig down, find that stamina that they had against Alabama and get back in this?
Jordan Obi left open in the corner. Missed defensive assignment there. And the Wildcats shooting the ball exceptionally well, 59% from the floor. Meanwhile, it's been a struggle for the Aggies here on the road.
Yeah, Kentucky is 4 of 5 from the three-point line.
Well, a great start, just the one that Kenny Brooks wanted to see. Another Jordan Obi left in the corner. This time, she puts the ball on the deck and called for the offensive foul. Well, Saturday right here on the SEC Network, we have a quadruple header of men's basketball for you, starting at 1 Eastern, but featuring the late games, LSU, Tennessee at 6. Then it's South Carolina and Alabama with the nightcap. Emerald Parker, who is getting some attention, she is grimacing in pain right now. Her coach, Joni Taylor, checking on her, and she's pulled off the floor. The sophomore from Ruston, Louisiana, will get checked out.
I didn't see the collision on that.
And trainer Stacy Kissel is working with her on the bench. Celeste Blow, Anita Franchini, along with Bats John and I Pryor, and Jordan Webster on the floor for the Aggies. The closing minute of the first quarter. And it's been all Kentucky thus far.
Now, Blood's got the assignment. Ooh, and fouled. She's supposed to not let Toni Morgan catch that. Now, when you say don't let Toni Morgan touch it, that's easier said than done. And yeah, Texas A&M has had success against Kentucky last year. They did that you know, they wanted to try to keep the ball out of the hands of Georgia Amore. Well, Tony Morgan, I mean, that's just as a difficult assignment.
Well, Tony Morgan looking on as Claire Strack puts it up and somehow gets it to bounce in.
Love that post patience from Strack.
Strack now with 4 points. Webster with the take to the bucket, stripped away by KK Carroll. And it's going to be Wildcat basketball again.
Watch Strack's patience in the paint and reads it one-on-one, keeps her feet, brings that pivot around and gets the finish.
Tony Morgan, the senior out of Tallahassee, wrapped up her playing time at Georgia Tech, graduated with a business administration degree before coming over to Lexington. And again, the job that she has done, another veteran, experienced point guard for Kenny Brooks. Final seconds of the opening quarter. Not Pryor trying to get a little bit closer. The fadeaway along the baseline, and it won't fall. And the 18th ranked Kentucky Wildcats storm out to a big lead after one quarter, their largest lead in SEC play, as we step aside here from Lexington. Open, and Carolyn, the best assister in the league, is showing just that.
Well, there's a reason that Joni Taylor didn't want Tony Morgan to touch the basketball. She can get inside, get it back and score it, or she can create for others. The key thing that Morgan is doing is getting to the second layer of the defense, and then Kentucky's able to space out, and they got plenty of threats around her.
Well, this is the type of distribution you want to see. 10 assists on 11 made field goals, or 10 made field goals. 10 made assists on 11 made field goals. There we go. Tony Morgan, here we go. Single season assist leader at Kentucky with 216, surpassing Georgia Amore and the great Patty Jo Hedges, who could very well, or very well needs to be, in the Kentucky Hall of Fame.
I was surprised that Patty Jo Hedges wasn't already in the Kentucky Hall of Fame. I can remember growing up watching the great Kentucky teams play and watching her, you know, move with the basketball and distribute. She's got to be in the next class of the Kentucky Hall of Fame.
SEC tournament champion back in 1982, also won a gold medal with USA basketball back in '83. Meanwhile, Kentucky closed the quarter on a 9-0 run. Shot the ball exceptionally well. It carries over here as Asia Boone continues her hot streak from three-point land. Asia Boone now with 11 points, 3 of 4 from beyond the arc.
I think Boone she's finding her rhythm in SEC play and understands her role too of, when I'm open, my job is to shoot the ball.
And good job of creating chaos on the defensive end by Boone as well.
Like, there should be no hesitation from Asia Boone. If that defense is going to give her a step and she can see it, she might as well pull the trigger and knock it down.
She's second in the SEC with threes made. She averages just about 3 a game.
Look, it's good to see Kenny Brooks playing Lexi Blue, because he's going to have to go deeper in his rotation as this season goes along and they go into the postseason. So you've got to get that kind of experience and find what combinations work.
We've got the sophomore Lexi Blue coming off the bench, playing great defense there. As soon as she steps on the floor, and a tie up underneath the basket, and it's going to remain with Kentucky. And again,
Tiana Key, you know that A&M's wanting to take away that left hand. She injured that elbow against Missouri early in the SEC season, so she wears that brace, but when she plays, it doesn't look like she's got any pain that she's dealing with.
Unfortunately, the non-shooting arm for Key. She missed a couple of games in non-conference play, but those 6 games within SEC play, things could have been a little bit different for the Wildcats if Key was healthy and available.
Well, I'm going to tell you what Tiani Key does for this team. Number one, she can be an additional ball handler, which takes the pressure off of Tony Morgan. Then she also has a tremendous defensive presence. She's another shot blocker, but she also can defend on the perimeter. That helps out as well. And then you can't even talk enough about what she does on the glass.
An outstanding rebounder as well, bringing home about 7 a game with 2 seconds left on the shot clock as a couple of Aggies take a spill. Pryor along with Hilton. And Pryor still down on the floor after that shot clock violation for the Wildcats. Pryor tying that left shoe and being helped out by our coach, Joni Taylor. But back to Tiani Key, and obviously they miss her for those 6 games, but certainly they are thankful that she's back on the floor. A couple of double-doubles in the last 3 games for Key.
Well, and she's got to stay on the floor now. She can't afford to get into foul trouble as well. I mean, not having you for injury is one thing, but not having you because of fouls, that's a problem. So she's going to do a very disciplined job to be able to stay on the court. And I'm very impressed with the shape she came back in. After missing those 6 games, the games that we did do, she didn't play. She was spending a lot of time with her conditioning. So she doesn't look like she's lost a step having been out those 6 games.
That's something that Joni Taylor needed to see from the Aggies. Fats Johnny snatching down a rebound, one of the top rebounders in the league. But now how can they get things going on the offensive end?
Well, the biggest thing is they can't look at the score and feel defeated. But you've just got to experience success like that, attacking the basket, and then focus on getting a stop on the defensive end. Don't clock watch right now, because that just allows you to have to carry a heavier load. Just stay in the moment.
Amaya Hilton with that first make for the Aggies in more than 6 minutes.
But you got to box out.
Well, the rebounding battle certainly in favor heavily for the home team. The Wildcats with second chance opportunities, out rebounding the Aggies right now, 20-6. Certainly, Claire Strack, one of those players in conference, averaging a double-double. She, along with Oklahoma's Reagan Beers, South Carolina's Medina Okot.
Oh, every night you're gonna face big-time rebounders in the SEC. Can't leave out Sasha Washington, Yana Mitchell of Vanderbilt, Madison Francis at Mississippi State.
Clara Strack expanding the lead further. In the ball game, Cheney Spencer, bounce pass over to Lauren Ware, can't hit it. Fats Johnny wrestling down the rebound. And then the turnover.
Yeah, the offense worked so smoothly for Texas A&M against Alabama.
Tony Morgan, how about how smoothly that shot went off her hand?
And she's not supposed to touch it.
No.
That was the defensive game plan.
Well, Tony Morgan, a scorer and an assister. And the way that she runs this offense and the confidence that she breeds within her teammates. Nice cross-court pass over to Strack, leaves it short from three-point land. While we have the time, gymnastics takes over the SEC network every Friday night. We've got another great doubleheader for you tomorrow night. Number 7, Missouri squares off against the 25th ranked Wildcats, then Auburn LSU at 8:45. You can also see it on the ESPN app. 9 teams ranked in the top 25 in gymnastics, equal to the 9 teams ranked in the top 25 on the hardwood.
The SEC attracting the best of the best. You know what, Tiff? It just means more.
I thought you were going to say it's no plaything in the SEC. It ain't nothing to play with.
Well, that too.
Yeah. I mean, just the type of gauntlet, the competition, the battles that we see each and every game. No game is a given when you look on the schedule. When we talked with Kenny Brooks, he was echoing that same sentiment that it's just like that.
Right. And he was talking about, you know, being honest with his team and looking at the games that they lost, the games that were close, then the games that they won and they have coming up. And he's very serious about, even if they don't get to that top 16, they would be one of the most dangerous 5 or 6 seeds in the NCAA tournament. I wouldn't want to face Kentucky,
Nope.
you know, with the triplets or the quadruplets, and then the point guard, like the way Tony Morgan's playing right now. It's be a lot to have to defend.
Steenbergen puts it off the backboard. Pien Steenbergen only played a couple of minutes. The redshirt junior out of the Netherlands, transferring over from Liberty to Texas A&M. But going back to your point, you've got Key back on the floor now after missing some time. I mean, the idea that he hasn't played with his full and healthy roster is Key with the block there. You talk about just the effect that she has on both ends of the floor. The make on one end, the rejection on the other. It's all Kentucky.
Plus, bottom of the hour, ladies.
Well, thanks so much, and welcome back into historic Memorial Coliseum. And obviously, everyone's talking about Texas Vandy, that big matchup that's coming up. They were just talking about it in studio. Blake's Booker, yeah?
I think
Who's the edge go to? Does Blake's go off?
it'll be interesting to see. I think that this will give a lot of consideration of who's SEC Player of the Year. You know, you've got Joyce Edwards in South Carolina. You got Madison Booker at Texas, Michaela Williams at LSU, but Michaela Blakes is making a strong case with as many 30-point games that she's put up. And look, she can take over a game and just go, hold my beer, I got this, and just take over. Right. Ball screen, if you don't step up and guard that, she is gonna make you pay. Yeah. Michaela Blakes is, I'm gonna tell you, she's one of the best players in the country.
Well, one of the best players in the country we've got tonight, and Clara Strack, and it's just been the Kentucky takeover, as these are the players, Blakes and company, Booker, Strack, Michaela Williams, Reagan Beers.
How many was on that list?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's only 20, and that whole list was SEC.
I mean, they have been the dominant conference, the strongest conference, and made every argument and settled every argument. When you watch teams in the SEC play, I mean, Charlie Cream has 11 teams projected to go to the NCAA tournament. The Aggies came into tonight trying to create a conversation around them after building on a couple of strong outings, walked away with the win against Alabama, and struggling to come by points so far tonight against this Kentucky team, but they need to see more of that. Nye Pryor in the ball going through the hoop.
You're talking about the SEC. Before the game that we did on Sunday, the average net in the SEC was 35. There were only 4 teams that were outside of 35 in the net. That just shows you the strength, the competition, the success that these teams in the SEC have had.
Another take from Pryor, and again, you see the assertiveness for the Aggies point guard. And, you know, these are the things that are going to make life difficult for the committee as they're looking at seeding the projection right now. As we mentioned, Kentucky, a 5 seed. They're trying to break through to that top 16 and potentially host. But of the 11 SEC teams, Georgia has come around much to improve. Mississippi State can be dangerous. We have seen them knock off a couple of teams in the conference.
When we talk about Kentucky sitting on that 5 seed, the committee has to take into consideration the games that they played without Tiana Key. All right, so then looking at the close games that they were competitive in. And I think that when the committee is looking at the seeding for the SEC, they can't just go based on the numbers. The committee has to watch these games and look at, there's part of the decision is the eye test, and I think you can learn a lot, but you got to watch the games. You can't just go based on numbers.
Well, right now, the net ranking 16, that's the evaluation tool that the committee uses to determine the rankings, and of course they're taking in strength of schedule into consideration along with the opponent's pace and the tightness of games. We were here for that big Oklahoma win, who was a top 5 win, their second of the season, the grittiness of that group and able to pull out that win over the Sooners.
They won that game without Tiani Key, and Claire Strack was dealing with a leg injury that she was playing through. And I think that toughness and gutting that out just shows you how tough this Kentucky team can be.
Morgan kicks out to Boone. Boone well off the mark, tracked down by Strack. Another opportunity, never hit the rim, so shot clock did not reset to 20. They've got 6 to work with here. Morgan, guarded by Ware, launches the 3. Too strong. Pryor up ahead to Celeste Blow. Blow may have taken an extra step, but instead throws it out of bounds, and it's going to be Wildcat basketball.
You see Lauren Ware continue to encourage her teammates. Listen, it's just the first half. You can't get discouraged right now or frustrated with mistakes, but learn to play through those.
Playing through the contact was Jordan Obie with the make. One of the things that we saw in that win against Alabama is Texas A&M getting to the free throw line. That's one area where they have consistently done a great job. They went to the line 31 times here tonight. It's been a little different thus far, still in the first half, but just 3 or 4 from the line. So they've got to get more aggressive in attacking the rim.
And getting second chance opportunities on missed shots. Now this is tough. To guard Clara Strack one-on-one, it's gonna make a long night. Lauren Ware held her own there, but the isolation inside, I think that Strack has the ability just to take over. She only has 6 points. She's 3 of 11.
We're drawing in on the close of the first half. You're just tuning in. It's been all Kentucky thus far as Spats Johnnet gets it to roll in for the Aggies. Kentucky, we had a short week, right? They played Texas Monday, and then a quick turnaround to host Texas A&M here tonight.
Texas A&M needs to come right back with that same play, horn set, getting into a high-low. I mean, you talked about how successful A&M was against Alabama and getting in the paint. That's how you can get in the paint, can continue to attack from the middle of the floor.
Pryor with 6. She pulls up too strong on the baseline. And Keys showing off her ball handling skills, bringing it up the floor, going right at Ware. And Ware got a piece of it, deflected that shot. And the rim protector that Lauren Ware is and has to be here tonight against the length of Kentucky.
Tiani Key is just a completely different player from what she was at North Carolina to Kenny Brooks, allowing her to expand her game, play on the perimeter, handle the basketball, shoot the 3.
And wonderful find inside the finish from Clara Strack. But again, the way that Kentucky has shared the basketball and assisted on these shots, 13 assists, 16 made buckets. Tony Morgan registers now at 6 assists.
We're not even got to halftime yet. She averages 8. You know, we talked about Patty Jo Hedges. She held the assist record for 40 years until Georgia A&M came here. And now Tony Morgan has jumped that.
Morgan takes a seat. 2 personal fouls now as Celeste Blow, the junior out of Murphy, Texas, hits the front end of 2.
Yeah, Blow, Dent, Janae Kent. Like, those wing players are the ones that Joni Taylor Hilton has talked about, and Jordan Webster of contributing. They've got to bring some of the offense and take the pressure off of Pryor and Fats Janae.
Again, not much time on the shot clock here as it's put up, and just as you mentioned, one of those 4 wing players, it was Janae Kent with the make. And the blocking foul called against Pryor as both she and Boone went to the floor.
Now look, Kenny Brooks has a play for every situation. There's only 3.4 seconds, and they worked on this.
Right into Strack. She looks at the clock and does not get a shot off before the end of the first half, but it was all Kentucky. The 18th ranked Wildcats take their largest halftime lead in SEC play this season into the locker room here, and Kenny Brooks certainly got to love the energy that he saw out of his group. Asia Boone, who led the way with 11 points. She was knocking down threes left and right. Clara Strack had a little something too. As Kentucky up big, we'll send it to the studio. Welcome back to SEC Network Basketball presented by Regents Bank. Beautiful look here at night. Downtown Lexington, the 18th ranked Kentucky Wildcats, the 38-18 lead, and Asia Boone was a big part of that. Tony Morgan was absolutely outstanding with the job that she did as we welcome you back courtside. Carolyn Peck, Tiffany Green here with you, and it was an all-around great performance in that first half for Kentucky.
Well, and you look at what Tony Morgan has done. I mean, she's number 1 in the SEC in assists, number 2 in the nation, and she already has 6 assists today. The moving the basketball, 13 of 16 field goals by Kentucky have been assisted, and half of those have been by Tony Morgan. She set another Kentucky single season assist record already, and there are 5 games to go for the Wildcats.
Well, she has been absolutely outstanding, but she's been dropping some points in as well. 7 points, 6 assists, and as you mentioned, she is in rare air and company and setting herself apart as the single season assist leader with this Kentucky Wildcat program.
And now Texas A&M coming out in a zone.
Amelia Hassett, top of the key, 3 no good, and a little battle underneath. Lauren Ware and Tiana Key fighting for position, and it goes against Lauren Ware, her second personal foul. So quickly the Aggies pick up a team foul in the first 14 seconds.
And like Kentucky's underneath out of bounds, they don't get into a set. They kind of circle in the middle and then flash out, so the defense doesn't really know where they're going.
Well, we came in talking about this Texas A&M team and riding the momentum after their win Sunday against Alabama. What adjustments does Joni Taylor need to make here to see her team get back in this one?
Well, they already changed up their defense and win a zone. The first possession, defensive possession, got to stop. Can they build on that?
Tough shot there from Janae, no, but Janae Kent, who streaks in to get the rebound and is fouled.
That's the other thing that they've got to do on the missed shots. If you're not shooting the ball very well, it's 25%, you've got to crash the offensive boards. I know you're concerned about Kentucky getting out in transition, but you got to finish the deal of your offense.
And Joni Taylor in her 4th season, again working with the pretty brand new team. I mean, 12 of the 15 players on her roster getting SEC experience for the first time. That's Johnay, who came over from St. Peter's, who has been the juice, as she likes to call, for this team, and need her to inject some of that into
mainly
this team in the second
returning
half.
Johnay Kent and Lauren Ware, two experienced players, and they have had to really help these new players understand the culture that Joni Taylor wants.
Asia Boone had that one blocked by Johnay. And Johnay sees Pryor streaking up the floor, running well. And back over to Pryor. Slices, dices, pulls up, no. And a foul. Again, quickly 2 fouls picked up by Lauren Ware here in the opening minutes of the third quarter.
So now Lauren Ware is playing with 3 fouls.
Obviously, Joni Taylor needs her on the floor as much as possible. Boone in the corner, 3, no. Johnay with the rebound. Let's see how they can get her going. That's Johnay some points and some looks on the offensive end. Guarded by Clara Strack. Reverse layup, and Strack may have gotten a piece of that.
Now that's just tough with Johnay starting with the basketball so close to the basket. Tony Morgan got another gear. And I think you got to get Fat Johnay the basketball at the top of the key and let her work downhill with her back to the basket against Clara Strack. That's just tough.
Pryor, the senior out of Baltimore, Maryland, coming off her 6th 20-point game. Lamaya Hilton, again, tough with the length of Kentucky. They've got a lot of trees in and around the basket and just on the court.
Kentucky, they average almost 7 blocks a game. They've already got 6 tonight.
An area where they lead in the Southeastern Conference, top 5 in all of Division I college basketball. And you think about what they did last year, much on par for this year. They led the nation with the block party a season ago, and this year they're 2nd in the country. Parker finds Pryor. Good look from 3, and it goes down. She drains the triple.
Yeah, I think the last possession, Pryor turned down a 3 and tried to get a step closer. If it's open, she's got to be ready to pull the trigger.
Inside to Key and finds Strack. And the foul. The old 3-point play coming up for the Wildcats with Strack fouled on that bucket.
Well, again, that's the connection. Tiani Key to Clara Strack. That's what they were missing without having Key. Those two have tremendous chemistry between them.
You talked about just the relief that Clara Strack has with Tiani Key back and kind of allowing her to get back to her old self and not take on too much responsibility with trying to do too much.
Yeah, Kenny Brooks talked about even in a game where he had to take Clara Strack out of the game because he felt like she was doing too much and was afraid that she was going to hurt herself trying to make up for the absence of Key.
If you're just tuning in, folks, I'll tell you this about this Texas A&M team and the job that Joni Taylor has done. While they may only have 2 wins in conference play, what we have seen game in and game out is the amount of fight that they have, the attitude and mindset that they come in with each and every game. You talked about it earlier, the competitive stamina you referenced.
Well, that's what they're going to have to bring that down 20 right now. Man, how many times does Clara Strack end up on the floor?
I was thinking the same thing because, I mean, just this is the punishment that you face when you're in the SEC and just getting run into from behind and then bumped into another Aggie player. Tiana Key, the 6'5" senior out of Cary, North Carolina. I mentioned her time at North Carolina and the growth and development that she has seen since coming over to Kentucky. And that first quarter, I mean, it was just out the gates running strong and fast for this Kentucky team. Since then, they've slowed some, but still have a sizable lead. Steenbergen with a nice take there. A little hesitation, changed gears, and finished at the hoop. One of the international players on this team, 5 international players in total for the Aggies, and a stoppage here as the officials conferring Clara Strack. They have taken a shot.
Oh, yeah, Parker threw the elbow. I think that's going to be upgraded. Non-observed foul, contact above the shoulders. The throw of that elbow, that was not, I don't think, a natural basketball play.
So as the officials go to the monitor to review, we'll step aside here for the media timeout. 6:08 remaining in the third quarter. We'll give you the decision on the other side. Back here at Lexington, still under an official review of the personal foul by Emerald Parker and if it will be upgraded to a flagrant run. Looking for severe unsporting contact that's excessive or potentially injurious. And yeah, you see her throw the hand there and make contact with Strack's face. We'll see what they do decide if they award and upgrade it to a flagrant 1. 2 free throws and the ball would be awarded to Kentucky. So the sophomore Parker out of Ruston, Louisiana, is on the bench right now, and they deemed it to be a flagrant 2 against Emerald Parker, so she is ejected. So they.
The called foul has been upgraded to a flagrant 2 because of wind-up, impact, follow-through, and straight to the face. Anybody from Kentucky can shoot. Anybody from Kentucky can shoot 2 free throws. Play will resume with the ball at the division line in Kentucky with 30 seconds on the shot clock.
And so because of the unnecessary or excessiveness of it.
Well, the wind up.
The wind up there. There was intent behind. So Boone taking the 2 free throws, knocks down 1 of 2. As Parker will exit.
When I saw Parker, she missed a pass coming inside. She demonstrated her body language, frustration, and I think that frustration carried over into the elbow to Clara Strack.
And you just think about just the ups and downs. We talked about it for Kentucky with their wins and losses in conference play. For this Aggie team coming in who's feeling strong about their performances as Key with the offensive rebound. No, Strack, who loses the handle on it. Out and running in transition. Hilton rolls over Asia Boone, and Hilton picks up the offensive foul.
Those are the things that Asia Boone is known for, being a three-point shooter, but the plays in transition and to get back defensively, set her body up, absorb the contact, draw the charge. Like, those are the key other plays that you've got to do outside your specialty.
Again, Boone earning the start tonight as she's tripped up quickly by Hilton. So 2 quick fouls on Lamaya Hilton, who did such a good defensive job against Jessica Timmons last game.
Well, I think Timmons helped her out as well. When I think Alabama saw that she wasn't a boxer one, it was a man in one, but totally face guard Jessica Timmons, and Timmons would just stay planted in the corner. And I feel like Alabama may have thought they had enough around her to score, but it's not just Timmons scoring, she's a playmaker as well.
Steenbergen looking. And Boone tried to intercept that one. 11 seconds to work with for the Aggies. Again, if you look historically in this matchup, it's been Aggies who have led the series against Kentucky. In fact, they pulled off that big win last year against the Wildcats as Nye Pryor with the make and one. So the hoop and harm for Nye Pryor, and she will go to the line.
Let's talk about rim reads and understanding she's got the hips and shoulders past the defender. Got Key behind her, giving her the ability to draw the foul.
One of the things Joni Taylor made mention of with Nye Pryor is the fact that, you know, she's just 5'3", so an undersized point guard, but has done a really nice job of understanding how to attack, but also be mindful of the size that she's going up against and those better angles that she's taking.
Yeah, she reminds me of a former guard of Texas A&M. You remember Aquanisha Franklin? Undersized, but a strong, look, she was a box of dynamite.
And Strack taking a tumble near her bench. And under 5 minutes to go, and the third will step aside here from historic Memorial Coliseum. Off the Saturday, and 5 teams in the AP top 10 as SEC is continuing to roll through. South Carolina, Texas, Vanderbilt 3, 4, and 5. How about the Commodores currently with the lead over Texas? Many eyes on that game. And of course, on Valentine's Day, there's South Carolina and LSU going head-to-head. College game day is going to be there, and all eyes will be on Baton Rouge at the PMAC.
When you look at that matchup, I mean, player for player, you've got Raven Johnson going against Jada Richard. You know, Tessa Johnson probably going to have the responsibility of matching up against Michaela Williams. And you look at these two, Michaela Williams and Joyce Edwards. I think that those two, they've got, in basketball, you got to have a strong move and a counter move. I think these are the strong moves for each team. Now, how does everybody else contribute around them?
Two players who are in the conversation for SEC Player of the Year. That game will be Saturday, 8:30 p.m. That's in prime time over on ABC.
Now we're heading over to Knoxville. We'll be there Saturday. Get there early enough so we can get a good spot to find a TV to watch that game on Saturday, because we have Texas and Tennessee on Sunday.
No doubt on ABC as well. So women's basketball in the SEC flooding ABC this weekend. When you think about Texas and Tennessee, can they turn things around? Can they bounce back after their loss to the Gamecocks?
Well, you've got Kelly Harper, now coaching at Missouri, is making a return visit to Knoxville today.
So again, the storylines, the intrigue, the matchups, they never get old.
Oh, it never gets old. And there's a new story after every game.
Yes.
Tennessee's bouncing back after their disappointment against South Carolina. They're up 68-27 over Missouri right now.
Okay, so answering some questions there. as John Ney was hung up in a double dribble violation. And right now, you're looking at an Aggie team just as frustrated. It's been tough to get things going here tonight against Kentucky, who came out immediately, scored 11 straight points. They were on a roll, and that is what we heard from Kenny Brooks doing shoot-around with his team this afternoon. Look, we want to make sure that we dominate every possession, every quarter, and they've come out and done so effectively here tonight.
Well, I think what I see from Texas A&M is a matter of handling success. After they played so well against Alabama, you think you've arrived, and you got to understand it's going to be that hard every night. And I don't think they brought the same intensity that they had against Alabama.
Well, Joni Taylor, who told us that she's surrounded by a great staff, and you having stood in those same shoes as a head coach, I mean, you know that you have to rely on your staff to find ways to come back, find positives from this game, and build on, because again, there's still opportunities this season for you to make some improvements, as Lauren Ware with a bucket.
Well, I'm watching Lauren Ware, being the veteran, the sixth-year player. She's constantly talking. There's no quit in that young woman on the floor right now.
Pryor got a hand on it and steps on the end line. Good effort there from Nye Pryor. Well, while we have you, Saturday right here on the SEC Network, we've got a quadruple header of men's basketball games for you starting at 1 Eastern. We're featuring the late games. It's LSU and Rocky Top, and then South Carolina taking on the Crimson Tide. You can also see it on the ESPN app. And Lauren Ware, that's once more that leadership that you're talking about right there, bringing together her team and helping them to just, they've got to calm down, helping them to calm down and understand the situation, knowing that there's some frustration right now on the floor, but again, you see how Ware is helping to steady the group on the floor.
And that just shows how much respect this team has for Lauren Ware. They listen to her, and this is a player that can't practice, but she takes the practice plan before every practice and looks at what she can and can't do. But she's staying involved, whether it be working out on the bike or on the sideline, talking through her teammates where they need to be, carrying through the scouting report. She's been under a minute restriction even as well.
Ware, who is going to have to take a seat as she picked up her 4th personal foul. So she'll go to the bench. So it's Franchini, Johnny, Webster, Blow, and Pryor on the floor for the Aggies. Meanwhile, Kentucky having a tough time from the free throw line. 9 of 15 from the charity stripe tonight. And a lane violation called against the Wildcats. Pryor, who's leading the Aggies with 12 points. She's going to need some more teammates of hers to join the party. Fats John A, no for 3. Pryor comes down and quickly goes over, and that was a great heads-up play by Nye Pryor, not giving up on it, speeds in for the O-board, and then throws it off a Kentucky player.
Yeah, Pryor is not allowing, even though it's a 20-point deficit, to stop from playing hard. Like, you want to play, anything can happen if you just turn up your energy.
Stop and go there, and Pryor is fouled before making her way to the hoop. Second personal foul on Asia Boone. So prior to inbounded, Jordan Webster launching for three.
She passed up her first shot, and that was the shot you could see Joni Taylor. That was the one she wanted her to take. She was initially open on that first cut. Oh,
ooh-wee! That left-hand finish from Tony Morgan. Going right to the rack.
Yeah, Kenny Brooks says it's unfortunate that he only gets to have Tony Morgan for one season because of her growth that she has shown already just in 1 year. And he said she'll continue to grow even after she moves on to the next level. He's going to stay in touch and help her to continue to grow her game.
Morgan pushing again, finds Asia Boone, passing it up to Hassett. No.
Pryor doesn't get tired.
No. She's like the Energizer Bunny out on the floor.
The glide that Tony Morgan has. Look, crossover, finishing that one. The finger roll with the left. So nice.
And Morgan's just trying to go over and just get some quick clarification because she picked up the foul there. She's trying to make sure she doesn't do it again. As Pryor knocks down the free throw. We saw her knock down 7 of 10 from the line last game, which included a couple of free throws with 6 seconds left to help seal a win for the Aggies, along with that Lauren Ware block. But tonight it's a different story for Texas A&M, and they ran into this Kentucky team who came out firing on all cylinders, and still time left in this game, but Kentucky came out also with something to prove here, right? They dropped 5 of their last 6 games, and they wanted to right the ship within conference play.
Well, it's still not out of the question for them to be a host, being one of the top 16, and in order to do that, you got to take care of home court, and they came out with that sense of urgency tonight.
Tony Morgan at the line, adding to her point total now, 14 points here tonight. And we talked about for Kenny Brooks, I mean, he saw his team come out to a 17-2 start, and then since then, it's been the reverse as of late, but they're trying to build on the momentum that they're creating here tonight. Tony Morgan has been a big part of that, consistency along with Clara Strack, and the addition of Tiana Key back in the lineup and healthy.
Well, they've demonstrated how good they can be with that win over LSU and Oklahoma. Now that they are back to full strength, having Key, they can be a problem.
Talia Kovaca, no. Fats Johnnet with the putback, yes. So Fats Johnnet, the very energetic junior out of London, England.
Taking a peek at these SEC scores. Tennessee up 82-39 on Missouri. Florida has a lead over Oklahoma right now, 37-26.
That one Florida for Clara Strack and the make. Again, you just never know.
You never know. When there's an SEC game on, you need to tune in or find it on the app because it's going to be entertaining and competitive.
A turnover for the Aggies, and Asia Boone and the Wildcats look to hold for the final shot of the third quarter. Both teams in the bonus, so free throws on the way for Asia Boone.
You look at Kentucky after this one. Who they get next? But Ole Miss. And then after Ole Miss, they have a bye. And then they've got to face this Vanderbilt team that's up right now, 27-21 on Texas.
Then they go to Auburn, and they finish here at home. They close out the regular season against South Carolina. Yeah,
when these two teams meet, it's always interesting. Yeah, Kentucky, they've got length. They don't have as much depth as South Carolina, but the versatility.
Shot won't fall, and that takes us to the close of the third quarter. And after 3, it's still Kentucky on top because Clara Strack has been doing some work.
She may have ended up on the floor quite a bit, but she's created her own damage inside. A&M not been able to find an answer.
You just want to make sure you get the momentum looking into the postseason, and certainly the balanced scoring attack for the Wildcats here tonight. It was Asia Boone who really got things going. I mean, she was knocking down threes left and right in that first half. Toni Morgan has been steady. Clara Strack coming in with a double-double. And Jordan Obi, Tiani Key also contributing as well.
Yeah, Kentucky with 14 assists, and they've done a really good job of taking care of the basketball. Only 9 turnovers through 3 quarters.
That was, and remember, this is the Kentucky team that, you know, played Texas Monday night. And despite the loss, know that under 5 minutes, it was a 1-point ball game. I mean, so they were right there with the Longhorns. They held Madison Booker in check with 8 points. They held Texas to a season low in the second half with 23 points. And so, as you mentioned, CP, this is a dangerous Kentucky team, and you just don't want to see them in the postseason.
Well, we saw the balanced scoring, and they have so many options from every position, and it's not just like you have a 5 and a 4. 3, 4, and 5 can all play 3, 4, and 5, and so that's a matchup problem for any opponent. And I'll tell you, Kenny Brooks was out here when his team was warming up, and he was sitting on that stool, and he was constantly looking at that board, reviewing, like he knew how important it was for this team to have a bounce-back game after that Texas game on the run that they need to make to finish out this regular season.
Morgan with a little hesitation. John saves it. Cavaco out of France, handling the point. We talked about just the depth of this Kentucky team, and you know, Kenny Brooks wanting to find ways to be able to go a little bit deeper. Only played 7 last game. Lexi Blue out on the floor. She did not play the last 2 games in SEC play, so her on the floor can help expand his bench. Well, tomorrow morning, our Shriners Children's Clearwater Softball Invitational coverage continues with 17th ranked Georgia taking on NC State. That's at 9 a.m. Eastern. Then Saturday morning, it's UCF against 10th ranked LSU. And Sunday, we'll see the Aggies of Texas A&M on the diamond taking on James Madison. 11 teams in the top 25 in the softball poll.
Wow.
So we talked about gymnastics, softball, and basketball, the number of top teams in the country coming out of the Southeastern Conference. Pryor on the break, and too strong.
Now Pryor's trying to, look, she's trying to get every bit out of this game. Everybody else has got to be willing to run with her. So if you were talking about the depth of Kentucky, I think it's going to be important that Lexi Blue is able to contribute. KK Carroll, the freshman, as well, because the longevity it can wear, you know, your starting five, and as the season goes on, coaches have to start shortening practice to rest their legs, but you've got to have that depth.
Speaking of where Lauren Ware for Texas A&M fouls out of the game, she came up with the block, and then on the second attempt, she commits the foul. So Ware is done for the night.
But this is the area you talked about, the free throws. If there's anything that Kenny Brooks will look at this game. Now they've missed 7, now 8 free throws.
And they came in shooting 69% from the free throw line as a team. Tonight they're about 7 points below that average at this point in time. As Strack, that is the patent space. She loves that little 13, 15 foot area range where she can knock it down. Hilton with Hassett in her face, no. Strack, another rebound now. Strack has a dozen rebounds to go along with 15 points in a trio of blocks tonight. She's gonna try to go for 3. That one won't fall.
What I like though about Strack, there's no hesitation at the 3-point line now. That's what Kenny Brooks has been wanting her to get to that point. When you catch it, you're open. Yes, that's a good shot.
You see just the toughness and willingness for Nye Pryor with that make for the Aggies. A lone player in double figures for Texas A&M. Hassett inside to Obi. Morgan finds Strack again. This time doesn't take the 3, goes inside. And Obi puts it up. No, Strack rebound, still won't fall. Kent, good look. She knocks it down. Janae Kent with the make.
That's the frustrating thing as a coach. When that looks that easy, it's like, why can't you play that smooth every time down the floor?
Morgan with a nice read and find, and that's what she has done all game long, right there at her season average of 8 assists tonight for Toni Morgan. I mentioned the single season record holder for assists in Kentucky. Set that record earlier tonight in this game.
Nye Pryor, she's got 16 points tonight. And when she may have been stopped, she's got the look on the floor. Just got to get her teammates to continue to make buckets.
Nye Pryor, we mentioned one of the newcomers, but is fit right into Joni Taylor's system. Johnay. And a whistle on the floor. And a foul against Lexi Blue.
We were talking to Joni at shoot around, and she was talking about this is the first complete team. She has recruited all of these players.
And Johnay finding a spot on that right side of the floor, knocking down a couple of baskets. And Ken has been one of those players who has stayed with Taylor throughout.
Sterringen got that one and then had a few words afterward. I was amazed though, you're down a significant amount. not the time to really talk a little smack.
And Boone rainbows it in from beyond the arc. Asia Boone with 4 threes tonight, matching her total from last game and continuing to be one of the top shooters in the league from three-point range. Well, 4:58 remaining in this one.
Asia Boone 4 for 6 against Texas. She's staying hot against the Aggies tonight.
SEC Women's Basketball is presented by Regions Bank, official bank of the SEC. Well, some of the great players to suit up for the Kentucky Wildcats, Ardia Mathis and Kayla Epps, Ryan Howard, who was a part of the 2026 World Cup qualifying team for USA, along with Aaliyah Boston, Angel Reese, who came out of the SEC as well. And Howard, who won gold, looking for Team USA gold.
She was one of the most fun players to call Kentucky games because when the game got on the line, she'd look at her watch. It was Ryan time, and she'd turn it up.
And when you think about Team USA and how it connects here tonight, well, Ryan Howard, yes, but also Joni Taylor, who was an assistant coach with Team USA, won gold in the Olympic Games in Paris in 2024. She's got 5 gold medals in total. And so her work within Team USA organization has been tremendous. I mean, she's just one of the great minds in basketball, and we always talk about just how she puts together these defensive game plans. And had one against South Carolina, a very formidable fight that they put up against the Gamecocks. Notched a win over Alabama, but here tonight it has been tough as they've run into this big blue wall.
Nye Pryor, I mean, she's continuing to try to make something happen. Well, Pryor now matched up with Tony Morgan, got the deflection.
And so at the free throw line tonight, Texas A&M has seen Pryor go to the line. Janae Kent, who's currently there, 11 of 14 from the line, and Kent knocked down all 4 free throws she's attempted tonight.
I expected to see A&M try to extend the pressure, but they're playing with a short bench because remember, Emerald Parker got ejected, and now Lauren Guerre has been sentenced to the bench because she is fouled out.
But you see Nye Pryor again just creating things on the defensive end, got a hand on that one, saved, and now turned into an offensive possession. She goes hard to the hoop, falls no. Johnay is fouled on the way down.
Number 17 and the team
and where there are questions about, you know, just how this team would have that competitive stamina. There were points where obviously things didn't go their way tonight, but you see it. And you see the effort that Nye Pryor has given tonight. And that's John A. as Pryor limps to the bench. And she has been on the floor most of the night.
Yeah, Pryor's played 29 minutes.
Now KK Carroll getting some burn, but Tony Morgan, that was an easy pathway to the bucket. Now, Toni Morgan, who is leading Kentucky during SEC play in the way that she not only assists but also averaging 16 points a game. That's best for her group.
When you look at this Kentucky team after the success that they had with a Georgia A&M, you question how do you replace that? And I think that Kenny Brooks got the ideal person in Toni Morgan, being a scoring point guard, but she doesn't have to score the buckets. He's had to really convince her to score more because that wasn't her role as much at Georgia Tech. And she's been able to transition her game.
So the only player averaging 14 points and 8 assists per game. She's closing in on another double-digit assisting game tonight. She's got 8 already. That's the most on an SEC player since the 2016-17 season. That would be Curtis Knox, who used to play at Texas A&M, the last to do it. And Morgan on the inbound. Obi saves it, so does Boone, but into the hands of the Aggies as Nye Pryor back on the floor for A&M. And her taking hooping home. Nye Pryor.
If anybody's brought the heart tonight for the Aggies, it has been Nye Pryor. 18 points. She's got 7 rebounds. She's the smallest player on the floor.
But tons of heart you see from the senior out of Baltimore, Maryland. So you talk about Kentucky and again what they have remaining. Ole Miss, Vanderbilt, South Carolina. Trying to make their move and push into the top 16. You think with a win tonight there will be some change with Vanderbilt and Texas, because Vanderbilt is currently a 2 seed. Could they move up to a 1 seed?
I think if they get a win over Texas, absolutely, that would be in the conversation. But there's a lot of game left.
The importance of these remaining games for all of these teams. Texas, South Carolina, the 2 1 seeds of the SEC, a couple also 2 seeds. We mentioned the Doors and LSU.
There could be a little shift if Vanderbilt were to knock off Texas. No telling what happens Saturday when South Carolina plays LSU. I mean, there's plenty of basketball left for the committee, and I just say the committee, they got to watch. They've got to watch these teams play and how they play. You cannot just go based on, you know, looking at a sheet of paper with the numbers. You got to see, like, the eye test is going to tell you a whole lot.
Oh, the eye test has told us a whole lot about Toni Morgan here tonight, right? I mean, just how she has just been so good all over the floor. And again, the offense runs through Morgan.
Well, this is a player that she's the head of the snake, and you want to take her out of the offense, but it's hard when you're there, the opponent, because she has the ability, the quickness to get open, the change of direction, that she can go off the bounce. She's a threat to score, but she's also a threat to deliver. That's what makes her such a special player.
The numbers for Toni Morgan tonight: 19 points, 8 assists to go along with a trio of rebounds as well. And also an area where you've seen her improve here tonight is, you know, taking better care of the basketball.
And one of the things that Kenny Brooks compliments Toni Morgan on, he said, she's never bucked me. And, you know, whatever he has asked of her to expand her game, get outside her comfort zone, she has been willing to do it.
And when you think about the type of player that you have in your program and what you're bringing in, right, there's a newness, right? So Tony Morgan, who comes in, develops under Kenny Brooks, who just kind of has like a point guard you. He's had it with Georgia A. Moore. Now Tony Morgan, the latest pupil, also getting to know her as a young lady, right? And the give back that we saw from her over the Christmas holidays and her community service and really giving back to those in her hometown of Tallahassee.
I think that Kenny Brooks, when he recruits, he doesn't just look at what you can contribute on the floor, but what you can contribute to the culture that he has built here at Kentucky, and Tony Morgan fits into that. But you talk about Kenny Brooks being the point guard whisperer. Well, you cannot take away from what he's done for Clara Strack and also for Tiani Key, what he did for Elizabeth Kitley while at Virginia Tech.
And that's why players want to play for Kenny Brooks, is because they know that they are going to be developed, right? They know that they are going to have success, but he's also going to have a holistic approach to help you excel as a person.
Well, we've had Kentucky a number of times this season, and going to shoot-around, before shoot-around, each player has individual instruction, and it's not Kenny Brooks just sitting back and letting his assistants do it. He's taking players through a workout, and the rest of the team is sitting on the bench watching. I don't think I've ever seen that. Their time's coming up, but while they're waiting to get on the floor, they're sitting there watching their teammates go through the workout.
Kenny Brooks is an absolute winner everywhere he's been. Started out at James Madison, his alma mater, then remember that Final Four run with Virginia, his first season with Kentucky, taking them to the NCAA tournament, finished out in the second round. And
that Virginia Tech team was special.
Oh, man.
It's so special that Taylor Soule, who was on that team, is now on the staff here at Kentucky.
Well, keeping good people around your program and making sure that, especially someone like a Taylor Soule, who's got that infectious kind of energy, stays within. But that's what you talk about, keeping culture around you.
Taylor Soule, Kiana Traylor. That team, they had a lot of heart going along with Georgia A. Moore and Elizabeth Kitley.
You think about the staff that kind of came over here with Kenny Brooks and just the trust. We've talked about, you know, the head coaches a lot, but it's also their staffs. They give credit to, you know, those who are around them that help to advance their message. So you've got Lindsay Hicks looking in right there, the associate head coach. Brad Villa as well. Josh Peterson. Claire Gregory. I mean, these are members of Kenny Brooks' staff who helped to make a difference and has turned the tide and table after dropping 5 of their last 6. Come out here with a great performance tonight.
Well, Kentucky needed this game, especially coming off the loss to Texas, and we've talked about what they have coming up. Build that confidence at home so that as you are finishing out this regular season, you're building confidence, you're building trust in each other, you're understanding the execution both on the offensive and defensive side, and play, because this is the tough part of the season. Players are tired. You know, you've seen each other, and it can get redundant, and you know, you're looking down the road, okay, the SEC tournament's coming up, but you can't, look, you got to take it one step at a time before you get there, because the seeding there is going to be very, very important. And you want to try to be in that top 4, if not the top 4, top 8 going into the SEC tournament.
Josie Gilvin has that one blocked by Pryor. Gilvin getting her first minutes here tonight.
And you see how Hassett wanted to give Gill an opportunity to score. She passed up a shot.
Hassett with the easy bucket on inbound. Amelia Hassett, her first 2 points of the night. She's one of the starters in double figures, all starting 5 in double figures for the Wildcats, but Hassett's finally getting the action. Under a minute to go, and it's Kent back at the free throw line for the Aggies. And we've talked about just what's remaining for Kentucky. Ole Miss on Sundays coming in to town, and Coach Yo and Cody McMahon and Christina Walla and Sarah Chinu and company.
Well, and you're going to see a Ole Miss team that's going to pick you up 94 feet. Getting into your offense is not going to be something easy. Kentucky's going to have to take care of the basketball. They also going to have to rebound against Ole Miss. Texas A&M, they get to go home. They've got Auburn, then they've got to travel to Tennessee before they take care of welcoming Arkansas and Mississippi State at home. Then they finish with Ole Miss, so they're going to have to face the Rebels as well.
Dictate, disrupt defense as Pryor with the make. Nine players touch the court tonight for Kentucky, with Gilvin, Blue, and KK Carroll getting some more time. Carroll knocks down the 3. And Asia Boone's just gonna dribble it out, and that does it. As Kenny Brooks gets back on the good foot, his Kentucky Wildcats with a big win here against Texas A&M at home. Well, Asia Boone, Tony Morgan, Clara Strack combined for 55 points. That equals the output for the Aggies. And a dominating performance from that trio, Carolyn.
This is what Kentucky needed to do, bounce back after that loss to Texas, but also Kenny Brooks had the ability to play his bench as well. That experience is going to be key for Kentucky down the road.
Move to an even 500 in conference play with the win tonight for Carolyn Peck and the rest of our great crew. I'm Tippy Green saying, we out from Lexington. Let's send it back to the studio.
Tony Morgan joining us right now after really you guys made it look easy, Tony. I know it wasn't necessarily, but that first quarter, what happened in that first quarter, and how did it allow you to just kind of cruise the rest of the way?
Yeah, in that first quarter, we came out strong. We knew what we had to do. We had to do it early because, you know, we want to get back in the winning category, so we had to come out strong from the beginning.
Okay, Tony. Let me hear the real stuff, okay? You had 8 assists today. Look, coming off a tough loss in Austin, how did you get your team back together to get on the floor and put together a nice game?
I mean, it just takes one to get us back rolling. I mean, we were on a little streak, but we got it back. We came out, we knew that we have goals. We know that what we want to do, and we just got to keep going this next game mentality and just keep playing hard for all 40 minutes.
Most coaches usually expect a little bit of a learning curve between the coach and their point guard. That does not seem like the case with you and Coach Brooks. Can you walk us through that? That's rare.
Yeah, I mean, every coach is different, but with him, it's been easy so far. I mean, obviously, I've had to learn him as a coach, and he's had to learn me as a player. But he trusts me. He's confident in me, and it's vice versa. I mean, he just makes me want to be great, and I just know he expects so much from me, and it feels amazing to have a coach that believes in you through and through.
You know, Tony, you started the game tonight. You hit a 3, and boy, you turned and you shot the arrow, and you did, you know, all that. But hitting that 3 to start the game, what kind of mood or not, you know, how did that make you feel as far as for the next 40 minutes of the game?
I mean, it feels good. I feel like it was a high-energy play, sets the tone for the game, and you know you got the hot hand, you start 1 for 1, and you know, just want to keep it going.
Tony, before we let you go, your former coach sitting here to my left calls you Tony, Tony, Tony.
Yes.
What did you call her?
She does. Coach Nell.
Just making sure.
Yes, Coach Nell. Yes.
Got it. All right. Congrats. Big win, and congrats on the game. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you.